Hello guys and welcome to another video. In our last video we watched a bit about NAF on Anubis being the specialist, and today we're going to be talking about another member of Liquid that's been very spoken of recently. Unfortunately not in as positive of a light. We're going to be looking at YEKINDAR and what is going on with YEKINDAR and what's going wrong with YEKINDAR. This is quite a topical subject, as Liquid themselves have made a little mini documentary recently about the struggles of YEKINDAR. So just to put into perspective just how bad our friend YEKINDAR is struggling, these are his last 3 months stats, which aren't too bad, but you need to remember as well that this is a rifler playing star positions on basically every map, and he's averaging a below 1.0 rating, being the lowest rated player in his team by like a decent margin over JKS, who's playing hard anchor positions. Just by this we can see that YEKINDAR is underperforming a bit. But this isn't even the worst part. The worst part is the event he had at the Blast Premier Fall Finals, where we can see that YEKINDAR ended as the lowest rated player. He had lower rating than Apex, than Chopper, than Snappy. But this is a generationally horrible event. Like, just purely up and down. Absolutely horrendous. He finished minus 46 with a 0.59 KD. Unprecedented levels from a rifler playing star positions. So instead of just bagging on him like a lot of people are doing, we're actually going to be watching 2 of his games recently. One is from this event against Spirit, where he had a very poor match, and one is actually from right now, played yesterday at the IEM Rio 2024 event. And we're going to be watching what's going on when YEKINDAR is playing. Can we see anything in particular that's the issue? So let's try and watch these games and have quite an unbiased view and see what is going on here that's making YEKINDAR's level of play so far below what is expected of him and what he has done in the past. So we're getting straight into it here against Spirit. This was at the Blast Fall Finals, which we just looked at. I think YEKINDAR ended this game at like a 0.40 rating. Let's see. Pistol round goes in first on the pistol and dies. I don't know, not super much to say here. I mean, feels like he could have taken that duel better. I mean, he kind of didn't give himself a chance to win the duel. Like, it's quite a common pistol strat that the first guy jumps, like aiming down, basically bunny hopping, to basically make himself very difficult to hit so these teammates can frag. YEKINDAR kind of did half and half there. He kind of ran at him, like trying to shoot, but then he just started jumping, but he wasn't really jumping in a good way, so a bit unclear. Second round, we can see that Liquid are going for a long pop. YEKINDAR is going first guy out. And he gets instantly killed and traded. There's not really anything wrong by YEKINDAR. I mean, he got killed, he did 0 damage, but his team couldn't close out the round. But he did his part there, which was to basically just go out and die. I mean, someone has to do it. NAF got the refrag. YEKINDAR got everything that he could have asked for, to be honest. So we're 3 rounds into the game now. It's like Liquid hadn't had really a lot of, opportunities so far, but it's still pretty interesting to note that he has 0 damage done in these first 3 rounds. Fast mid take here. Getting down mid early. Ooh, what is going on here, brother? Wait, where is his... See, this is just poor shooting. There should be no way that Chopper wins this duel. Like, there's no excuse for Chopper winning this duel. This has to be a duel by YEKINDAR every day of the week. It seems a bit like, I mean, a good shot by Chopper, but at the same time, that's just, like, YEKINDAR wasn't really committed to the fight. Didn't feel like he was, like, 100% confident in taking that duel. Just kind of crouching, standing up, and then not really pre-firing. It was a bit half-assed, let's be real there. Another round, YEKINDAR gets out mid. That's the same thing, getting this mid control, clearing close mid, clearing up short, going in for the execute, and he dies on the entry. So I don't really think there's anything he could do about this death, let's be real. I mean, a lot of these deaths so far can be summarized by YEKINDAR going in as an entry and just dying and getting traded. So when we look at YEKINDAR's underperformance statistically, it is worth to note that the playstyle that YEKINDAR has in this Liquid lineup, which we can see when we looked at the NAF game. If you haven't checked that video out, you should do that as well, how NAF plays Anubis. YEKINDAR plays a very aggressive and space-making role on this Liquid lineup, both on T side and on the CT side, and this is on like all maps pretty much. Because the way that YEKINDAR plays is very similar to like how IGLs typically play. And IGLs we can generally expect to have worse statistics because they're basically a lot of the time, like if you look at how Kerrigan plays, how Apex plays, you can see that they're taking a lot of aggressive duels and just creating space and playing to get traded by their teammates. So the thing about in this Liquid system is that YEKINDAR is actually that piece. So him having like poor stats isn't necessarily uncommon, and it's not necessarily something that should be unexpected. The thing is that there's still a lot of nuance to this, and a lot of cases where YEKINDAR is simply not really peaking with confidence or showing his full aim prowess. In rounds like this, I would say that it shouldn't be many times that YEKINDAR misses that duel. Let's just say it like that. With his caliber of aim, that should be a kill every day of the week. However, if we look at a round like this, when Liquid are going for this short finish, and YEKINDAR is going in as the entry, and he dies to Donk, just completely one-tapping him when he's on the entry, it's not really a lot that YEKINDAR can do. I mean, YEKINDAR is the first guy in, and he's speaking from an angle he can't expect. It's hard for YEKINDAR to actually get that kill, so you can't really criticize him for deaths like this, and he has a lot of deaths like this per half, where you can look at him jumping in first on the pistol round, being the entry on forced buy rounds, being the entry on buy rounds, being the one creating space and getting traded. But still within that, YEKINDAR currently has a shockingly poor entry conversion. For this specific blast event, YEKINDAR had an opening kill ratio of 0.65. He got 13 entries and got entry 20 times, which is quite alarmingly poor, honestly. And that's the point where you have an entry fragger who has should have a very high individual ceiling. Those stats should not really be something that you would want to see like in a long term, which is currently what we have been seeing with YEKINDAR for the past couple of months in this Liquid lineup. But then as well, like despite all this about like him going in first, being the guy that gets traded, you also have rounds like this where you're just left scratching your head and wondering what the fuck is going on. And despite rounds like this being converted by a Liquid, it's not really got anything to do with YEKINDAR. You could put in anyone in the substitute for YEKINDAR in this round and you get the exact same result. So in a round like this, YEKINDAR has a really solid lurk here. He doesn't capitalize on it, but he doesn't really have the time to like go behind CT and kill them. So how does he play this? So he has to get a multi-kill here. Oh, he gets the first. Now he has to play time to allow Nav to get in here. Or not. Or not. I guess he just chooses not to. I guess he just doesn't really care about the round win. So the thing about the way that YEKINDAR plays is that while he is this space taker who is taking these hard roles, who is supposed to have all these entry duels, which has to be like a bit of a 50-50 role, the thing about the way YEKINDAR plays is that he's not like completely solo going for these duels like Apex, for example, and Vitality or Kerrigan. He actually has the support, but he also makes a lot of questionable decisions. Like what's going on here? There's no stress for him to push up, but he is running through the molly trying to force a duel. And again, Liquid bail it out because Liquid are like solid at playing on the aggression of YEKINDAR, but at rounds, in some of these rounds, it's also just some very questionable decisions where it looks like YEKINDAR is forcing the issue and trying to like win the round straight away. And this is something I would say is very like easy to pinpoint to a confidence issue. And the thing is that it's not like it's secret that this is a confidence issue at its roots. This is something that's spoken about extensively in the YEKINDAR mini documentary, and Twist has talked about this in interviews, and his teammates in general have talked about this on social media, that the struggle is not that YEKINDAR doesn't have the individual ability to perform, it's that he lacks the confidence currently. And it's understandable why, in a way. I mean, this is a very serious team, there's a lot of money, a lot of fans, a lot of pressure, and he has had a very bad period, and that probably piles on, making it feel even worse. But the issue is that when you're playing at this level, you cannot have a guy that's constantly second guessing what he's doing, like you can see YEKINDAR doing a lot of these rounds. But it's like he's not even sure himself about what he's gonna do, and he's like thinking about it too much. And it leads to halves like these, where he's going 4-12 in a 9-3 loss. And of course, there are rounds where YEKINDAR can't really do shit about what's going on to him. Like in a round like this, I mean, dying like that to donk, what can you really do about that? And despite not really having any chances to play on this CT side, I mean, they barely got to play. They lost the pistol, lost the force round, lost an eco, and then they just lost a round here on B, and then it's over. YEKINDAR finishes this game with a 4-16 scoreline. When your star player, like theoretically at the very least, your star player is dropping those numbers, it's impossible for the team as a whole to perform. It's a bit of a complex issue, because if you watched the last video about NAF, I was giving a lot of credit actually to the way the Liquid have their system set up. I think it makes a lot of sense. Every player is playing in a way and in a position that kind of makes sense to their strengths and weaknesses. That's true for YEKINDAR as well, but the problem is that he's simply not performing in those positions and roles which he should be performing in. He's playing the same positions as he has been when he was a very top, like one of the best riflers of the game. He's still playing in these aggro space-making positions. He's still being set up. It's not like he has transitioned into a supportive element where he's the guy being the guy dropping AK and playing Mac 10 or whatever, like Kerrigan is doing, for example, who's often playing with the worst weapons so that his teammates can be set up. He is the guy that's set up, but he is not performing to the level that he should be. So this is an interesting issue where everything is aligned for YEKINDAR to be dropping bangers, but instead of that, he's just dropping stinker after stinker in these events where he's averaging 0.70 ratings. And I sincerely hope that YEKINDAR will be able to get back from this level, because I do think that when we watched him in Virtus Pro in the beginning of Liquid, he was such an amazing rifler to watch. And he's a smart player, but it's just that the level right now has been so bad that it's hard to like look at that and say anything other than that this is just unacceptable and this needs to change ASAP. And if we look at Inferno instead of Dust 2, we can see that YEKINDAR is the guy being the aggressor in Banana. And if you look statistically across a large enough sample size, this role is actually one of the highest rated T-side roles on the map. But YEKINDAR losing duels like that doesn't really have anything to do with the statistics of the position. And another reason why this position is actually statistically quite high ranked is because you're actually very set up by your teammates. It's not at all like a lonely position where you're forced to take these duels 50-50. You will always be able to have the flash support if you have the foresight to communicate that to your team. And while there is a lot of scrutiny to YEKINDAR, to the way that he's taking some of these duels, the confidence he's having, it's also sometimes purely unfortunate, like the pistol examples before when he's dying, or in a round like this when he's entry fragging and Twist fails both of his flashes to full blind YEKINDAR on the entry. It's a bit rough when you look at it like the above perspective. You can see that the first flash lands way too deep, and the second flash lands right in the wall in YEKINDAR's face, and he's just full blind on the entire entry and dies. I mean, rounds like this is just unfortunate from a YEKINDAR's perspective. Even if Liquid win the round in the end, it's like, well, he looks like a complete bot just running in blind and dying, but it's not really his fault there. That's actually quite a rare round when YEKINDAR's actually not the guy playing AK. He's actually one of the guys opting to get the Mac 10 from Ultimate so that he can play op. After the early pressure on B, they're going into apps finish, and he's the entry guy pushing out. Let's see. Like, that's just a duel that he can win, though. His pre-aim is off. That's the thing. It's like not all of these are necessarily unfavored for him, or like that his teammate is not setting him up. Another question here is, why is YEKINDAR actually even going first here, as there are three guys pushing up from short? In my opinion, I don't see why YEKINDAR is actually the first guy going out here. He's the first point of contact here, which is quite backwards in my opinion. I mean, you have four guys even coming up from the short side. This apps play should only work to refrag. But him opting to take the first duel here, while it creates space for his teammates, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And his pre-aim is very off, considering they already mollied out pit. And they get the trade, and again, they get like a refrag here, and they get the sight, and they win the round. But it's like, is YEKINDAR really doing his part in this round? Or is it just that Liquid are sweeping up the remains of the mistakes that YEKINDAR made in the round? Because even if we can say that him going first there as the first point of contact from apps, that's the correct play, it's still a question of whether or not his pre-aim is good at all, and I don't think it really is. And he stays here at the B lurk as his team is pressuring mid. So they want to go into a B finish here. Let's see what YEKINDAR does in this. He's once again going in as the entry, which he's doing very, very often, that he's the first guy going in. Actually gets a kill on the boost there. Very good awareness to understand that the smoke was down, that there might be a boost going on. And he gets team killed. What can you say about that? I mean, he just decided he's not gonna get his rating anymore, bro. While there are still, once again, some unfortunate rounds for YEKINDAR, like where his teammates are kind of griefing him, there's also rounds like this.
Oh, it hasn't gone to plan for YEKINDAR, but...
And I don't know how I can explain that. I don't know what I can say about that. There's not really any words I can use to describe what I'm feeling right now. If anything, I would say that my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is rude. And then there's rounds like this when he doesn't really have a lot of support. And he's kind of just full sending it. And he's just kind of getting destroyed. I mean, this is like one of those things where it's like you're looking at a position and the position that he's playing is hard. In this case, when he doesn't have the support. But then you can ask yourself, should he really hard fight this? Should he really commit for this fight when he doesn't have the support when they're setting up for this apps pop? Maybe it's a set strat and that's his role. And maybe then it's like, well, what can you really do? Maybe that's just your role, that you're supposed to contest that. But I don't really know. That doesn't feel like a very favorable way to approach the fights when he doesn't have the support. And again, in this particular game, it doesn't matter what the fuck YEKINDAR does. He can make every mistake in the world and they're still just going to win the rounds because somehow complexity are even worse at converting 5v4s than Liquid. We've seen so many questionable rounds from YEKINDAR dying on the entry and we still have a 6-3 half in the favor of Liquid. Complexity kind of just not able to do anything after getting the entry. While I'm in this demo watching, have been giving a lot of criticism to YEKINDAR and the decisions he's made. One thing I gotta respect is that despite his hardships and his bad performance, he is not afraid to continue to create this space and take these duels. I mean, in a round like this, he doesn't even smoke the molly, just goes forward, gets this close positions, stays here in the 4v4, and just, in a lot of ways, actually does a lot in this round despite only getting one kill. As it becomes a 3v3, he gets this info on Grim and he doesn't stress the round trying to force a duel. He just hears the information going on and he's just patiently waiting here. As he gets this kill now, they can just play the 3v1. Because YEKINDAR dared to take this space and stay in this close position where he can get this info. One positive is that despite having these confidence issues that he is well aware of, that he's spoken of, he's not actually having the lack of confidence in actually taking the space. He's just maybe not having the confidence to actually win the duels, which is still a big issue obviously, but at least then he contributes something to Liquid because he creates space and information and ability to be traded by his teammates as compared to if he would have just lost confidence and stopped trying to take duels or space. So at the very least, he understands what his role is and what his function is in this team. And that's very important for Liquid to actually still be able to play quite good Counter-Strike despite their star player having a very, very rough period. We still have glimpses of him just being a very solid entry fragger. With getting the entry here onto Hall Circle, opening up the B site, allowing Liquid to just kind of path in here, converting this round with this entry into a round win and getting an 8-4 half. So while it's not like YEKINDAR is completely useless in this Liquid team, it's just that he is having some difficulties actually generally getting these kills. I mean, once again here, 8-4 half and he's going 4-11. He is 4-11 with an ADR of 48 with barely any utility damage, playing Banana, the position where you would be expected to get the most utility damage. So it's like he's clearly not playing at the level where he should be playing, but he's still contributing something by creating space and getting these entry opportunities and getting these trade potentials for Team Liquid. But once again, on the CT side of this Inferno game as well, YEKINDAR is playing a lot of these high rated positions as the B aggressor. And again, he's actually still playing this style where he is actually daring to take the duels. He's daring to create the space for his teammates, daring to be the guy peeking out on a flash and just taking this space. And despite not winning the duels, that is doing something for Liquid. So even in his absence of performance, he's still doing something and contributing. So if I were to summarize a little bit shortly about the struggles that YEKINDAR is currently having on this Liquid team, we can say that there's a clear confidence issue going on, and that is not anything new. This is something outspoken that YEKINDAR himself has said. There is also the fact that if we're going to give some excuses, if we were to say in that way, for why YEKINDAR is playing so poorly, is also the fact that YEKINDAR in the positions that he's playing is oftentimes the guy, many times the sole guy getting punished by mistakes from other Liquid members, as he's like the first guy in on the executes. So if a teammate misses a flash, or if they miss time on nade or whatever, YEKINDAR is going to be the guy that sees that and gets punished by that in rounds like when he gets team flashed, or when his entry is not close enough, or his AWP is not holding an angle for him. But at the end of the day, this is a confidence issue that we're looking at. It's just that he's not performing and not daring to take the duels in a proper way. But YEKINDAR is still contributing something to this Liquid team by still being this aggressive force that is creating space for his team. So that's about it for this little deep dive into the struggles of YEKINDAR. And I hope to see a recovery in his form soon, because I do think that he is a very good match for this Liquid team in terms of positions and roles, if he just gets his individual form back to where he used to be. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you're looking for similar content to this, where we analyze specific players, you can check out my recent video that might appear on screen right now. I'm not sure. Stay tuned for more videos to come. I'm going to be making both player analysis of teams, and general concept videos on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.